When we face storms as a family, sometimes we need to deal with grief and spiritual warfare at the same time. Join me for this important conversation today on Family Vision. Rob Rienow here with Visionary Family Ministries. Thank you for being a part of the Family Vision community. We so much appreciate the chance to spend this time with you. Today we're going to be in part 2 of Facing Storms as a Family. But before we jump in, Ray and I just got back from an epic family camp ministry weekend in Bondurant, Wyoming, hosted by the Bondurant Fellowship. And being a part of this weekend with these families, they took time out of their crazy busy lives to come together for worship, fellowship, Bible teaching, multi-generational Bible teaching. We just had a great time. A couple of the highlights. One was there was a woman in her 70s that got baptized. When was the last time you saw someone that age publicly profess their faith in Christ through baptism? It was fantastic. Another one of my stories, a couple was there, and they had been married about 15 years, and we did a visionary marriage date night, and they had never prayed together in 15 years, never prayed together until that night. And I was able to talk with them and encourage them, and they are on a fresh course now following Jesus together as a couple. Now, if you are in the Illinois area, this coming Saturday, September 13th, I want to invite you to join me for a very important gathering of parents and grandparents. Saturday morning, September 13th, at Wheaton Academy in West Chicago, 9:30 to 11 a.m. I'm going to be doing a seminar called Parenting Through Spiritual Struggle. This is going to be focused on what do we do when we have a child or a grandchild who's apathetic, disinterested, cold, disconnected when it comes to spiritual things. So much of our ministry is working with parents who have prodigal children. They have adult children. Maybe they were raised in the church, raised in the faith, but they've walked away from the church, walked away from the faith. And one of the common ingredients in all those prodigal stories is there was a time in that young person's life when they became cold and apathetic, sometimes toward their family, toward spiritual things, toward church, toward God. They just had a whatever kind of attitude. And if you have got a child in that situation, or you want to help prevent your child from entering into a cold, hard-hearted season of life as a teenager, I really want to spend this time with you. Again, Saturday morning, September 13th, 9:30 to 11, Wheaton Academy in West Chicago. This is a free event, but you've got to register because we've got snacks and treats, and we need to know how many people are coming. So you go to visionaryfam.com. That's our website, visionaryfam.com. Click the events button. You will see that event there, and you can go in and quickly register for that. And I'd love to spend that time with you. Upcoming events in South Lake, Texas in mid-September, Cornerstone University in October, People's Church in Kankakee, Illinois, also in October. I'm really excited about that. And then we have got a major family mission trip, a visionary family mission trip to Rwanda coming up at the end of October. Looking forward to telling you all about that. Oh, I'll also be at the Donaldson Fellowship in Nashville Sunday morning, October 12th. Okay, well, let's get into it. This is part 2 of Facing Storms Together as a Family. And so this is part 2. I'm going to pick up talking about the critical need to accept one another and accept one another's differences as we go through storms. I'm going to talk about grief, especially grief in children, and then spiritual warfare, how the enemy wants to use the storms in the life of our family to do spiritual damage to our faith and our family relationships. So here we go, Facing Storms Together as a Family, Part 2. In our marriage, obviously, we're two different people. And after a conflict, we have confessed and said we're sorry and asked for forgiveness and granted forgiveness and said I love you and said I'm committed to you. For me, the way I'm wired, once Amy and I go through that process, that's like hitting a big reset button for me emotionally. Like, I'm good to go. Here we are. Amy's built differently. Like sometimes after a big conflict, she'll have more kind of emotional aftershocks, or it takes a little while, like for her reset button to go through. She has to learn to have grace for me. Rob, why are you fine after the big fight we had? I'm like, well, you said you're sorry. I said I'm sorry, and forgave each other. I'm like, let's go. And I have to have grace and acceptance for her, that just because we've talked through this and affirmed our commitment and grace for each other, that there's going to be some time for her to process. And let me ask, let's talk about our kids for a minute with this. As parents or grandparents, do you ever have a bad day? Put your hand up for me. If you ever just have a bad day, didn't get enough sleep, not feeling well, what do you want from your family members when you have a bad day, when you're just off? What are you looking for? Yeah, just give me a little grace, cut me some slack. I'm sorry I'm not up to my usual awesomeness, okay? Just cut me a little, and it's totally appropriate, right? We have bad days, and our families should give us some slack. But let me ask you this. Are your kids ever allowed to have bad days? Are they ever allowed to just be in a funk or just be off? Or anytime your 8-year-old is not acting exactly how you expect them to, are you on them? And hey, what's the matter with you? You need to fix your attitude. Even things like that. And this is especially true with children and dealing with grief and any kind of loss in their families. If we have a death in the family, or even a loss of a relationship, or a loss of a dream, the sadness that comes with loss, grief can take a really long time to work through in the heart of a child. Amy's brother was about 8 years ago now. We were doing family ministry at Maranatha Family Camp, also here in Michigan, and I was out of my kayak one afternoon, and my phone rang. It was JD who called me and said, "Dad, you got to come in." I'm like, well, why? It's Uncle John. Something happened with Uncle John, Amy's brother. And I said, well, is he okay? And JD said, no, he's dead. And Uncle John, Amy's brother, 49 years old, had a scuba diving incident, heart incident. We don't know all the answers to exactly what happened, but 5 kids and just gone. And as we have obviously continued to be in relationship with Meg, our sister-in-law, his widow, and their children, you see this long journey of recovery and healing and highs and lows, and how each of the 5 children have reacted spiritually, emotionally, relationally, in every which way. And so whenever our families are facing storms, whether they're big ones or little ones, this principle of accepting one another and giving each other grace is a critical ingredient. Last one for tonight, action principle number 4, don't give the devil a foothold. When your family's in a storm, there's spiritual forces also at work. And one of the real temptations that I think the enemy tries to work in when we're in a family storm is to take fear, take hurt, and shift those to anger, particularly anger at God. We looked at this scripture this morning. I want to dig a little deeper into it tonight. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 26 and 27. It says, be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger. And now look at verse 27. There is this incredible warning about what happens if we give into a spirit of anger, if we sin in anger, that we actually give an opportunity to the devil. Let me talk about both parts of this. When life gets really chaotic and painful and scary, it is a time that the enemy ramps up temptation to sin. You'll see, we've walked through so many different situations with families when there's an incredible crisis. He goes back to drinking, or she goes back to an old flame, or drugs and alcohol come into the picture because they're trying to self-medicate, or the porn on the computer comes back. Because the pain of the storm, they're trying to find some escape valve, but obviously they're going about those things the wrong way. Let me give you an illustration about temptation. I was preaching in Fort Worth, Texas, a number of years ago, and I had an all-day visionary parenting conference. By the way, during the school year, about every other weekend, me and one of the kids were somewhere around the country doing a visionary parenting, visionary marriage conference. So I had a visionary parenting conference in Fort Worth. And Saturday morning, the hosts of the conference said, "Rob, we'd like to take you out to dinner tonight after the conference." Wonderful. "Have you ever been to Texas de Brazil?" I said, "I have never been to Texas de Brazil." Now, if you're unfamiliar with Texas de Brazil, raise your hand if you've been there. All right. It is a Brazilian steakhouse. It's like Fogo de Chao, maybe if you've been to something like that, but it's extremely expensive and extremely awesome. And I had never been there before. And they said, "We'd like to take you to Texas de Brazil tonight." I said, "Okay, I'm going to preach good for you today." You know, it's in Texas, so there's a lot of hospitality food, so I eat light as I go through the day because I'm going to save room for Metasaurus Rex. And we get in the car after the conference. Of course, I'm exhausted. We drive to Texas de Brazil, and they've got their kids with them, and it's a 2-hour wait. And they said, "Rob, man, we are just so sorry. Our kids, we got to get them fed and get them home. We just can't do it. Is it okay if we go to Joe's Crab Shack?" Now, listen, if they had told me in the morning we're going to Joe's Crab Shack, I'd be like, "Sign me up. I love Joe's Crab Shack. That's fantastic." So I'm like, "Hey, nope, sure." Because apparently there's like a playground area at this crab place. I said, "Great." So we go to Joe's Crab Shack. Playground under construction. And their kids are just, "I want the playground, I want the playground." They say, "Rob, is it okay if we go to this family entertainment center with this bowling alley pizza shop across the way because our kids can play and we can get pizza at the bowling alley?" Now you understand I'm a professional, right? And a Christian. Hold on. So I say, sure, happy to go. But what struck me is that this is the way temptation from the devil works. He will always promise you that you will end up at Texas de Brazil. But where will you always end up? Bowling alley pizza. That's exactly right. If you give in to the temptation, the promised joy and happiness is always going to end up at bowling alley pizza. Okay. So look with me now at verse 27. If we sin in our anger, we're giving an opportunity to the devil. The older translations, I think King James says, don't give the devil a foothold. Don't give the devil a space. Don't give the demons any special access to you. Think about it kind of like this. The Bible teaches that Christ is resident in our hearts as followers of Jesus. You are possessed by Christ. A Christian cannot be possessed by the devil because you are possessed by Christ or a demon. And God promises to put a hedge of protection, Tim Hawkins, a hedge of protection around you as a follower of Christ. So the demons don't just have free access to your life, but they would like access. So let's say the demons are trying to get through the protection hedge, the protection wall that God has put around you. They can say, or they can knock on the fence, "Hey, let me in." And they can say, "Hey, would you mind throwing a rope over the top so we can climb over?" So when we give in to a spirit of anger, we're giving the demons footholds. We're giving the demons special access to our hearts and to our lives. Let me ask you this way. Why would God warn us not to give a foothold to demons through our anger? Not a trick question. Because we can give them footholds through our anger, and they're going to want to use those footholds to wage their spiritual war against us. The action principle here is as we face these storms as a family, we're going to pay particular attention to spiritual attack and particular attention to the spiritual attack of anger. I will put this up on the screen tomorrow morning so you don't forget. But one of the workshops we do for families is helping your family find freedom from anger, where we do a really deep dive on the practical side of this. And you can listen to that as a free download at our website, visionaryfam.com/freedom. Jot that down now if you want. Visionary Fam, short for family. Again, I'll put it up tomorrow morning. visionaryfam.com/freedom. Punch your email in, and that workshop will come to you by way of MP3. Okay, I know we have kiddos to pick up, but I'd like you to bow your heads for me. And by way of a closing prayer, I want to read to you Psalm 130, because it's one of my favorite psalms on waiting for God in the midst of storms. So let the word that is living and active transform your heart now. Out of the depths I cry to you, Lord. Lord, hear my voice. Let your ears be attentive to my cry for mercy. If you, Lord, kept a record of sins, Lord, who could stand? But with you there is forgiveness, so that we can, with reverence, serve you. I wait for the Lord. My whole being waits, and in his word I put my hope. I wait for the Lord, more than watchmen waiting for the morning, more than watchmen waiting for the morning. Israel, put your hope in the Lord, for with the Lord is unfailing love, and with him is full redemption. He himself will redeem Israel. And I'd like for you to give a closing message to your family member next to you. We're going to do another one of these repeat after me things, okay? Look at your family member, and I want you to say this: God has not brought us this far to abandon us now. Amen. Well, I hope this message was an encouragement to you. I'd love to ask for your help. Could you partner with us in helping more families around the world follow Jesus? One of the quick and easy ways you can do that is just by clicking the share button for this episode. Send it to a friend who may need this encouragement. Of course, if you have not already subscribed to whatever platform you're listening or watching this on, please do that. And we want to build a personal relationship with you. A couple of different ways we can do that. One is that you can join the Visionary Family Community. We have a global community of families who are simply seeking to follow Jesus and helping the future generations follow Jesus. And if that's you, if that's your heart, you can become a part of the Visionary Family Community. Just go to visionaryfam.com. Up in the upper left, you'll see that big button, Join the Community. You can learn all about how you can be a part of it. You can also send us your prayer requests. Our prayer team meets every month. And then we also have prayer leaders ready to respond personally to you if you would like to schedule a prayer call with one of our prayer team leaders. And you can send your prayer requests to us by email at podcast@visionaryfam.com. That's podcast@visionaryfam.com. And we look forward to our next time together with you on Family Vision.